Hey, what's going on? In this video, I'm gonna discuss why and how you should start selling your product before it's even built. And this is super important because being good at a startup is really all about speed. So let's say, for example, your goal is to create a product to sell for money. The problem is you don't really know if your idea is any good. Also, developing software is time consuming and is also very expensive, right? So the question is, how do you make sure that what you're building is correct? And how do you get people to trade you money and give you feedback as quickly as possible? So being able to do this is very important because if you build something, it doesn't mean that people will buy it. The if you build it, they will come quote, I don't believe applies to software. Typically what happens in the real world is if you build something, nobody will even know about it. So the way to develop software quickly and really how you develop your MVP or minimal viable product is like this, where the first thing that you build has to be something that's useful, right? So you go from a skateboard, which can get you from point A to point B. You got a scooter, then you got a bike, then a motorcycle, then a car, versus something like this, where it's like you got a wheel that can't do anything, and then you got two wheels, and you got, then you got a car that can't drive, and then finally you have a car, right? So the point is, you have to be iterating on something that works as quickly as possible. In order to do this, you need to get feedback and reassurance and information as quickly as possible as well. So what you want to be doing when your team starts working on something, or even before they start working on something, is you need to start calling people that fit your customer profile and start asking the questions. So you might want to call someone, you just cold call them and say, hey, I saw you on LinkedIn, or I looked you up on this website. I'm really interested to learn more about X industry, right? And I was wondering if I could ask you a few questions. Most people are very open to just giving you information for free because most people are pretty nice. And what you want to do is you want to explain the product to them. You want to tell them the benefits that the product will provide, and then you give feedback, right? Would it help them? Why or why not? If it can't help them, then you ask them, how much are you willing to pay for something like this? What would be an expensive price for you to pay for something like this? What would be a cheap price for you to pay something like this? Why is that expensive? Why is that cheap? And then at the very end, if it can help them, then you can ask them something like, hey, if we were to build something like this, would you be willing to pay the cheap price for it, right? And if they say yes, then great. And now you have your first lead for your first customer. So then you go back, you get that feedback to your product team, and now you keep continuing down this list and developing your list. And by the time the product is built, you already have a long list of super viable customers and you can hit the ground running. Hope that makes sense. See you in the next video. It's free to subscribe.